Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GameDay Squad's Women's Aussie Rules Live Show. I'm here joined by my good friend and trusty co-host in Bales. Bales, mate, are you ready to talk some Women's Aussie Rules fantasy? And, of course, hop into the round that's about to be tonight in round 3.
Yeah, mate, I'm keen. It's good to have some Thursday night footy back. It's been a while since we had obviously any football on the Thursday night, which is hopefully next year we get on every Thursday night. But no, it's good. I put out a tweet, I think, or in a group chat I was in, that we've only got maybe 14 days over the next sort of 40 or 50 days where there's no footy, because obviously we've got midweek games going on next week and in the next few weeks, which is great. So more footy is definitely going to make me happy, and a lot of other people out there happy. So let's go.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Absolutely. I can't wait to rip into this one. Of course, we don't quite know all the news yet, everything that's going on around the league, but what we do know is we're expecting some players to be coming back, and some ones that we've been wanting to see for a while. The likes of, I know, Isla Sheeran. Is she going to be playing in round 3? Are we finally going to be able to put her into our squads, mate? I bloody hope so, because she has been someone that I've been just eager to get in. I don't know about yourself.
Oh, yeah, I hope she gets named. Obviously, we'll find that out, I guess, within the next hour or so. So we might be live when we find out. But, yeah, hopefully she's named, and we can chuck her into our lineups this week and our squads, because that'd be really good, because we know how good she is, especially if she's got this midfield role, which would be interesting to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly right. We are been waiting for that one for a long time. But Bales, mate, let's get into this round. We're going to, first of all, shout out our top coaches from the past round. This is round 2 and some of the performers we saw. Now, of course, we haven't spoken about it yet, but Noffy was nothing short of remarkable in round 1. And I have a feeling that everyone that's on the top of our leaderboards this round would have had a Noff there. But how about this, Bales? We've got our starter in classic competition, won by the same coach this round, Prison Mike.
Yeah, but look at him in the starter. Like he's like 140 points clear of the next best coach. So
Yep,
he would have had Marinoff, he would have had Rowbottom, and he probably had Anderson. That was probably the one that was Anderson was probably the unique one that a lot of people probably didn't go with. So that was probably where he got that big bump. But it'd be interesting to see. I'd sort of like to see the squad and see how he got that bigger margin, because I thought I had a good week, but I was 7th, which is solid. But I was what was that? Nearly 200 points behind him. So
you had a great week, Bales. Don't talk yourself down, mate. You still had a great week. Just unfortunately, some others did a little better.
Unless I'm ranked 1, it's not good enough.
Fair enough. Well, mate, let's get over to our challenger and champion, and you're going to see there Prison Mike 4th in the challenger. Prison Mike just had the absolute round of dreams. Let's be honest. He was just on fire in this one.
Where was he in champion? I'd like to know where he finished in champion in the end.
Gosh, I could probably have a look. I'm not sure within the top 20, but I'll tell you what, everything else, he was in either first or within the top 10, which I just think is the most unbelievable round.
To be fair, though, Fez being number 1 at champion's not really much of a shocker.
No, exactly right. If you know, you know. Fez, the game day GOAT, he always puts on, and no different here in the champion competition. But what a round it was. Lots of really high scores and a significant jump, at least from round 1. So good to see our coaches are already catching on to some of the players that you need to be putting into your squads to dominate. Yeah. So without further ado, Bales.
It was a bit of an abnormal week as well, because we had the highest ever fantasy score. I'm not sure about Game Day Squad. I'm pretty sure with the women's, Marinoff would have been the top score. Yep. The first ever triple-double or quadruple-double, if you want to put it like that, from Charlie Rowbottom, and then the record disposal was broken by Ali Anderson. So it was definitely a record-breaking week. So we'll see if any other records get broken in round 3.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, I wouldn't have the expectations of records like that, but you never know what could come along and what's around the corner, because, of course, the game is just elevating to a different level this season already, and we can see that. But in game 1, we have thought very alike here. We're going with Charlotte Thomas and no other players. Ellie Blackburn's had a pretty good year, but probably just out of that top echelon of midfielders. Talk to me about Thomas, though.
Yeah, potential Jess Hosking tag for Ellie Blackburn tonight, if with Jamie Harkin out for West Coast, might mean that he's in. Jess Hosking's in the midfield, so that's just I guess the watch on Ellie Blackburn tonight. But Charlie Thomas is top five, top six defender, arguably a top sort of 2 or 3. And we see on the matchup there, Bulldogs obviously is a great matchup for defenders there, easiest matchup. So I think if you've got Charlie Thomas, I'm jealous that you've got the gold and I don't have anything other than a bronze in my club. So I'd like to have more salary on Charlie Thomas tonight because I think it could be a big game to start the round.
Yep, exactly right. Well, mate, look, only 80% time on ground last game, so a little bit less than her 97 that she had in round 1, but still 80 fantasy points, still had the 13 kicks, and it's going to be the leading kick-in person for the West Coast Eagles, and then also she's going to play on nearly every single time as well. So just those things alone, I think, is a lock. Get her into your squads, an absolute, probably the D1 moving forward.
Yeah.
Unless Sheeran has something to say about that and comes back with a vengeance in this one. So, anyone else you want to cover in this one? I know, look, the matchup matrix is saying, I know it's only 2 rounds, so small sample size for these squads, but it's saying there's a lot of great matchups here. No one else came to mind when you were setting your squads from this one?
No, don't. Alice Edmonds is one that I thought about, but I just think with how good a couple of other rucks have gone that we've picked, and the fact that Georgia Ball's still in the team just caps that ceiling. And I think I'm trying to look for ceiling scores when there's a few guys, so a few players in the mixer there for rucks. So I think I'll be going with a couple of other rucks, but Alice Edmonds is definitely not a bad pick tonight in a good matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Will be a good matchup for her. And I guess we're going to see. We'll find out. But Bales, let's get into game 2. This is going to be a game of looks like a lot of fantasy points if you look at the matchup matrix. What do you think here? You've gone a couple more players than myself here. So do you want to start talking about maybe the players of difference in Hodder and Anderson? What are you expecting from them in this matchup, and why you're so high on them?
Yeah, so obviously Sabrina Frederick's been fantastic to start the year, and I just expect her to be good once again here, even though Brisbane a little bit trickier for rucks. But Courtney Hodder, she's sort of been a little bit down in the first couple of weeks, just not quite laying those tackle numbers, but I still think in the forward she's got as good a ceiling as anyone, and I still think her floor is a bit high just because of her tackle numbers. She's still playing a bit of midfield time. Collingwood is an easier matchup than who she's played in North and then Melbourne in the first 2 weeks. So I still think that she'll go well there. And Ali Anderson she's been fantastic, taking her game to another level. Like when you're starting off breaking the clearance record in round 1, or at least equaling it, and then breaking the disposal record in the second week, you're in some pretty good form when you're doing that. So I think that she just sort of forced my hand. I think she's one of those players I think's probably got to be in your lineup. I've got her on the bench the moment just because I still think there's so many mids. But if you can fit her in, I think she's a very good pick.
Just out of interest, mate, do you know where Ali Anderson is currently ranked amongst midfielders for the season so far in the 2 rounds?
I believe she'd be second.
She is number 2.
Yeah,
so
behind Marinoff, yeah.
Exactly right. Noffy number 1. She's the number 2 mid right now. So Definite has been pleading the case for cracking into some squads, and you have already pulled the trigger on it. But, mate, talk to me about Courtney Hodder as well. The forward from the Lions, you've got the silver. From my understanding, you only have the silver, right? And you would rather play the player than to worry about the salary, or?
No, I've got a bronze, but that's in the starter comp. Yeah.
Why don't you play both across them?
I was just saying about Courtney Hodder just before that. Yeah, I just think that she's got the ceiling that she can still put up a good score. The forwards, again, there's not like there's a plethora of options. There's like your Kate Hoare, who you put in every single week, and on your tie, who you probably put in every single week as well. But outside of that, there's a lot of players that you just started looking for matchups and ceilings. And I think that Courtney Hodder hasn't kicked. I don't think she's kicked a goal yet this season. So that's not going to go much. Yeah. That's not going to go much longer. She's going to kick. I wouldn't be surprised if she kicks 2 or 3 in this game here, and expect her to get on the ball with a couple of goals. So I just expect her to put up a good score sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. Look, yeah, definitely someone that in the preseason a lot of coaches had ranked quite high, had a lot of faith, and you're right. You can only hold someone down for so long until they are gonna beat the odds, and maybe, as you're saying, it's this round, and the matchup is looking pretty good for it, especially as someone who's getting a lot of CBAs at the moment as well. So definitely don't sleep on that as a forward, getting that role. But Sabrina Frederick, currently the number 1 ranked ruck out of all of them in the competition. So she has started this season on fire. This is someone who was a forward, in 2023. And we were a little worried talking about, is she going to be as damaging? Is she going to be as useful in squads as someone like a Min Strong, as a Ali Morford, and even Edmonds at that? But she's gone well above expectations, and she's currently holding the number one spot, and it's by a good margin, Bales. So about 20 points on average, she's holding that number one spot by. So I think for me, this is my first time starting Frederick. You've got the silver, which I love. You want to put that salary cap on players who are going to score and give you those higher ceilings. And I feel like Sabrina Frederick has been exactly that to start this season. And I don't see that changing in this matchup, although it is a bit of a tougher one against the Lions.
Yeah, agreed.
Like we saw her against Morford. And we thought at the time Morford was the best ruck in round one. And then she went and exploded for 138 points. So, if someone like Morford isn't going to be able to contest and compete with her in sort of that sense, then I just don't see many other rucks being able to. She's in the league of her own at the moment.
Yeah, great.
Mate, have a look at this game. We have loaded up in terms of players, me more than you. But, of course, Sheeran, the big question mark for us both. But we both know this, is that if she's going to be playing, we're both going to be starting her in our defense for this round. So why don't you talk to me about the players that you have, and then I guess I'll talk about the point of difference players that I have starting in this one.
Yeah, so again, I think Gardner, she's been a little bit down to start the year, which obviously is been not like it's not terrible. Like she's still averaging the second most of any player in this game, 108. But obviously, we know that she's the sort of player that can average like in excess of 120 GameDay Squad points, right? So I just think that North Sydney over round one against Collingwood, low-scoring fantasy game. Last week, another low-scoring fantasy game where only two players went over 85. I just think it's just, again, just sooner rather than later that she's going to put up a 120, 130 score. And the fact I've got the All-Star as well offsets a bit of that as well. So it hasn't been as bad for if you do have an All-Star or a prize card of Laura Gardner. But, hopefully if you've got like a silver, a gold, or even a bronze, you're hoping for a bit of an uptick there. Katie Brennan.
Yeah, for sure.
Katie Brennan's been a little bit down, but we just expect her to have, again, she's one of the better forward picks that there is. So if you've got her, I'd be playing her in your side. And then Ola Sheeran as well. If she's back, she'll be in my lineup. If she's not, we've got a few other defenders to pivot to, but I'm hoping she's back, and she's currently on my bench because I order mine in terms of average. So yeah, hopefully she's back, and that's why I've got them. But you've got a couple of different players that I've got.
For sure. Well, mate, I actually posted in the Discord before. We're going to be giving away some packs. So I'm actually going to drop a question right now. The people who can comment the answer to these questions, I'm going to be giving away packs too. My question to you all is, who is currently the number one ranked defender in GameDay Squad Fantasy? Get your predictions in the chat right now. And for all of our coaches who can guess that correctly, I'm going to be giving away some packs. So put your squad name with it as well, or your coach name with it as well, so I know who to contact. But let me talk to you, Bales, about the players.
Well, I've got the answer. So if you want to send me some packs, mate,
let's keep it a secret for now, and then you can drop it there, and then we can we can probably sort that out. But look, let's talk about Brianna Tarrant. This is definitely a pod in comparison to a lot of the forward options that people would be selecting from. Gemma Houghton, Katie Brennan. I had a little bit of a hard time trusting them. I personally, not to give away a spoiler, but Brennan's currently in for me, and Houghton I've actually dropped. I just want to see her get back into her form that we know she can get back into. And I know she's got a bit of a tough run to start the season, but I do expect her to get those wheels rolling quite soon, and she's going to be earning sort of that more set and forget spot back in people's squads at the tail end of this season. So no concerns in terms of having a player card and whatnot, but I do think proceed with caution. Katie Brennan, as you mentioned, isn't in the best form, but Tarrant, she's really impressed me the first two rounds. And the reason is she's just getting her hands on the footy a lot. She's averaging 12 kicks per game at the moment. And I'm just looking for someone. I'll be honest with you. If I had a Chelsea Randall, I probably would be playing a Chelsea Randall over this pick right here. But I currently don't. I'm trying to trade for one on the transfer market. And if I can't get her in time, I'm going with Tarrant. And I'm sticking with my guns here. So, yeah. I'm liking the season she's had so far. She's had 100% time on ground in both games, and just the high disposal rate, getting a lot of marks, especially last round. She had 2 in the first game, 6 last time. I'm just looking at that and thinking it's worth a bit of a punt, and we're just going to see what her score can be this week. But I do see this being a bit of a competitive game, and I'm hoping that she's going to get quite involved. With that being said, getting the ball down there a bit. So We've had a couple
Agreed.
answers so far. Can you see the chat, Bales? Do you agree with these answers?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that is absolutely correct. Tilly Lucas-Rod has started this Game Day Squad season as the number 1 ranked defender. She has been on fire, and currently she's just, you know what? She's insane, but has an average. What is her average? Let's get it up. Her average is 101.5, but she's very, very close to someone in second place, which maybe let's do that. Who's just behind her? Who's the person that's just sharking Tilly Lucas-Rod right now? Would be second ranked in terms of defenders. But for everyone that's guessed Tilly Lucas-Rod so far, I can see you there. We'll get you a forward pack. But tell me who's number 2. I'm interested. Can you guys get that as well? And we'll put another one on top if you can nail that. And Lucy McAvoy. I haven't even spoken about her yet, Bales. Mate, she's been one of the big surprises to me. I don't know about yourself, but just the way that she's been playing. I know you were talking before. You sort of speak to her about the Swiss Army knife of the Swans, and she sort of just gets thrown wherever they're needed for games. But she's had 15 kicks, 10 kicks in her first 2. She's been over 5 handballs in both, and over 5 marks in those as well. So she's only sitting at about 75% time on ground. So she's not like the other players, but her points per minute is quite good. And we're not really having to worry about that. She's had a score of 98 and 93 fantasy points in both. She's not doing any of the kicking duties because she's being utilised more in the middle and maybe some forward time this week with Malloy going down. But I'm liking what I've seen from her so far. And I think for now, I'm interested to see what her role is exactly going to be this round with that injury. But I do think she's worth the start, and I'm taking the punt on her this week and getting her into my best defenders.
Yeah, I like it.
Love it. And everyone's all over it. Did you have that one in mind as well, Bales, for number 2?
Yeah. There's a close 3 though, but she was Emma Carney. Yep. She's obviously
only
had a
1.5 fantasy points behind Tilly Lucas-Rod. So that just goes to show how good her season has been as well.
Yep. And it was a quiet week one as well. Obviously last week was a big one.
For sure. Mate, game 4. Well, we have thought exactly alike as well, mate. We have gone with Webster. I know from memory last week you didn't have a Webster. Isn't that correct? Because you were jealous about the fact I was starting one. So what happened there?
Yeah, I was able to get a trade done on the trading, I think, a couple other bronzes and stuff to get the Beck Webster in, which is good. So
nice.
Put her into the lineup, and hopefully she can have a good game. Carlton, good matchup. So I'm liking her this week. The other one I do like, if you want to go for a bit of a unique in your midfield, is Amy McDonald. Carlton, I know that they're saying they're only 10th for there, but Carlton is a great matchup for midfielders, and I could see Amy McDonald having a big game, especially with Georgia Prasparkas being carrying a bit of a quad sort of injury. I think it is that she's carrying a bit at the moment. So Amy McDonald, if you want to go unique, I've actually got a platinum in my challenger side there. I've put that in just because of the matchup. So I like Amy McDonald as a bit of a unique if you want to go someone a bit spicy.
Love it, Bales. You're going a bit of a pod there. McDonald, she has had a really good season as well. She started off pretty well, but just sort of goes under the radar because of how good some of the other mids have been in the competition, because people have truly exploded in terms of production. But I'm loving Webster. She's had such a great start to this year, and as a defender, if I had a bronze, to be honest, I probably would put a bronze in, but unfortunately I don't. But I'm not too worried about the salary cap there. I just want to play the best available player that I think, and Webster's going to be one of those for me this round either way. So she's in. All right, mate, let's get into game 5. We're going to talk about Port Adelaide versus the Fremantle Dockers. And look at that. You've got a gold here. Putting a gold salary cap in a forward is not something that I would have anticipated you doing before coming to the show. But here we are, mate. Ty, talk to me about this. You've loaded up here.
Yeah, it's more the fact that I've only got the one bronze on your tie, and that's in the starter, which I'll use. I've got a little bit of salary cap available in the classic comp to put the gold on your tie there. Yep. But Port, I know that it says Port there's a red matchup for forwards, but I do expect on your tie to get involved. We saw last week against the Crows as well. She wasn't as involved for most of the game, but went back in the last quarter and went up the ground. I don't think Freo are going to wait that long moving forward to get on your tie up the ground involved. So I think that if she's not getting involved in a game, she's going to get up the ground. She's going to get involved. But I could see this being a game where Freo, I don't even know who I think I've picked Freo, but I think it's gonna be a close game. But I think Anya Tai is gonna be heavily involved. So
Yeah,
I think that Anya Tai could go quite well. And that's why I've got her still on my side.
Well, she's one of those players as well. Like, one of the things that she's doing really well is she's averaging 5.5 hit-outs per game. So that's just a little boost in terms of her fantasy points, irrespective of all the great things she does around the ground with the ball in her hand. Even without it, she's getting those hit-outs and she's getting opportunities to score even more. So if this does tighten up this contest and there are a lot of ball ups, especially in that forward 50, we're going to see her have the opportunity to really add some score and add some fantasy points on.
Yeah.
Mate, talk to me. Gemma Houghton. This is a player that I'm personally avoiding, but you are starting this round. So you've got faith. You'll be thinking a bit of a bounce back, irrespective of the matchup matrix telling us this is a red matchup for forwards this round.
Yeah, I just think, again, I think a few of these forwards have underperformed to start the year. I think, obviously, I mentioned with Hodder, I mentioned Brennan. I think Gemma Houghton's another one of these forwards that's underperformed. Last week would have been a good matchup if not for the weather. I think it's meant to be fine weather in terms of Adelaide this week. So being it back at Alberton as well, I just think that Gemma Houghton's going to be a lot more involved than what she has been. And it's only a matter of time, again, I think, before she puts up a big score. And with the lack of forwards, I think she's still a decent pick to put in your forward line.
Yep, mate, for sure. Well, Mim Strom, she's had a fantastic start to the season. The number 2 ranked ruck at the moment. We're trusting in her right now. So
great matchup as well. Number 1 matchup in terms of matrix for against Port. Obviously, Schultz and Levicki giving a lot of free kicks, and we know Mim Strom gets around the ground as well, takes some marks, gets a few tackles. So I like it.
For sure. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I said Tarrant was the forward I was going to say about before. If I was to get around it, it actually isn't. I'm thinking it would be Runnels, But of course, I'm going to be starting her as of right now. She had a really explosive round 1. I know a lot of that, as I mentioned in the preview last week, was because of her tackle count. She had 10 tackles, so I did sort of think she might be a little bit dependent on having a game like that and being a little bit more active in that. Only 2 tackles last week, and we saw her score drop from 91 to 48. So definitely a bit of a concern, but she does have that high upside. She can get to those really big scores for a forward. And as you said, in a year where forward production has been a little bit thin, we've had our top echelon of players. And then, of course, after that, bit of a drop-off, but that's okay. We need to look for some pods. We need to look for some good matchups. And, Runnels at the moment, high risk, bit of high reward play for me. But I'll tell you what, we're talking about before the show, Bale, Sheriff, and I was talking about how good some of her metrics were looking. But unfortunately, as you were talking about, could be out for the season or at least for a prolonged period of time. So that was a massive blow to my forward line because I know I had her in my squad last week after just looking at her round 1 numbers, and everything was looking great last round until that injury as well. So that's a really tough loss to get 2 premium forwards and 2 good in Sheriff, I guess, in back-to-back weeks. It's already making it a hard line group, a little bit harder. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, obviously, being out there. Obviously, Kay Sheriff was a pretty popular pick in the forward line after a decent round 1 with a good role. But yeah, unfortunately, she won't be in the team for a little bit. I'm just trying to see if I can find exactly what Hawthorn said about the injury. But yeah, she'll be out for at least a little bit.
Tough. Alrighty, mate. Well, let's get on to game number 6. The Crows taking on Hawthorn, and you've got 4 players in this one. Got the gold Noff as well. We got to maybe talk a bit. Started off with that.
Yeah, so obviously quite lucky with that on Monday. Got some rewards. And again, people sort of saying that if you just enter the comps, even in starter, and you don't have to spend any money on the game, because if you get good packs from starter, you can then pack some of these players to put into your other teams to go better in that. So I think it was a 3-player common pack from the starter comp that I got this in. Opened it up and didn't see any platinums or diamonds or legends, which obviously you sort of go, okay, well, I don't have an upside there, but you've still got the chance of getting a valuable player. And then I got the gold Marinoff, which was fantastic. So I had a silver, so I've just shuffled that. So I've got the gold Marinoff in classic, put the silver in my challenger, and obviously still got a bronze in the starter comp. So yeah, very, very happy to have the Colt Marinoff in the club. That's definitely one I've been trying to chase.
Massive
And
addition.
Hopefully I can get a platinum or a diamond. So if anyone out there's got one that they want to donate to the Bales GameDay Squad charity, then feel free.
Well, I'll be asking for a Randall, that's for sure. Chelsea Randall, with how good she's been. But you've got Randall in your forward line. Talk to me about why I want Randall so bad and want to get her into my squad.
Yeah, so I'll actually I'll combine Chelsea Randall and Maddie Newman into the same category because I got both those as uniques out of the two of us. So I just think that they both got great roles. I think Maddie Newman's role is set. She is what she is. She's a great rebounding defender. She roams up and down the ground. She is the main distributor for the Crows backline. So I was able to get my hands on a bronze Maddie Newman after trading mine away for I think a Sheeran in the preseason. So I was able to get one back, which is good, and plug her in. But yeah, Chelsea Randall, obviously just the query I've got is for when Tia Charlton comes back. I'm interested to see, will Chelsea Randall continue to play bulk midfield and then go back and do what Tom Stewart's been doing? Or is it going to be a bit more of a 50-50 split where she plays either in defence and then sometimes starts in midfield, then goes back in defence, or is she going to play a bit more forward? We don't know. Chelsea Randall is a bit like Lucy McAvoy, where she can play anywhere around the ground. So it'd be interesting to see what that role is like. But I still think, again, Chelsea Randall, great start to the season. I'm just backing her in.
For sure, mate. I'm going to put another question out there for people to...
Just before you do that, look at the top averaging players from this game and how far ahead Ebony Marinoff is to even Anne Hatchard, but then how far Anne Hatchard is to the rest of the players in this game. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, this is just full of players who know how to score fantasy points. But on the conversation of Anne Hatchard, Bales, I'm going to ask everyone this. Is Anne Hatchard currently ranked within the top 5 midfielders, or is she outside of the top 5 midfielders to start this season? So she's either within the 5 or she's 6 and above. So you're going to tell me that, is she top 5 or is she above that mark and she just creeps out? That's what I want to know. And for players or coaches, who can get that correct, we're going to get some more forward packs your way. But Tilly Lucas-Rod as a defender this year, you can see that average. We spoke about her before, the number 1 defender at that. She's just a player that you need to start.
Line up.
Do you think she's matchup proof?
Yeah. I think so. I think she finds the ball wherever they are. So, I think they're a good pick.
Anne Hatchard for me, though, the first time I'm going with her, and I know in the preseason I did have some concerns about potentially her being a bit of a handball merchant at times. We have seen that she can get very involved in that, but she's had a really great season, and we're about to find out with some of our answers here for the rest of the year, which right now. So as of round 2, so this is regarding her ranking. As of right now, what is she ranked in GameDay Squad Fantasy? Is she within the top 5 scoring midfielders, or is she just outside of it?
That's for Anne Hatchard as well for people that are playing along at home.
Beautiful, Bales. All over it, mate. But yeah, mate, she has had fantasy scores of 143, 138. Her averages, especially kicks last game, she had 18 kicks and 11 handballs. She's averaging over double-digit handballs per game. But I think the surprising thing for me, Bales, 6.5 marks per game on average.
Yeah, it's good. They're using them out of the back line. So that's exactly what we want to see from them for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I as I said before, I think they're just a lineup lock for the rest of the year.
For sure. And, mate, the more impressive part, 2 goals and 1 goal. So averaging 1.5 goals a game. I know it's only 2 weeks, but she's just doing everything. She's literally doing everything. And for good reason. We've had a couple guesses. We'll let them keep coming. But she's within the top 5 midfielders for the season so far because she has been that dominant. She's had such a good season. And look, I know it's easy to get caught up in Ebony Marinoff and how good she is because she just feels like she's miles ahead. But don't sleep on how good Anne Hatchard has been as the Batman and I guess called Robin combo with the two of them. And for the first time this year, I'm starting both of my squad and I'm very pumped about it. I think she's going to deliver again in this game and she's going to score big.
See, I don't have both, which is bad. I want both, but currently got Ali Anderson in over Anne Hatchard. I'm still weighing up. Do I go Anne Hatchard?
If you had the option for both, what does the gut tell you?
I've currently got Ali Anderson in there, but I'm not sure. Do Collingwood try and tag Ali Anderson this week? Like that's my thinking. Do they put time into Ali Anderson this week? So Anne Hatchard, I don't know if she'll get a tag or anything. So does she just get left free? So that's what I'm weighing up. It's still genuinely 50-50 for me whether I I put Ali Anderson or Anne Hatchard in my GameDay Squad lineup this week.
For sure. And mate, this would absolutely be correct. She has to be in the top 5. She definitely is. So well done. For everyone who gets within the top 5, if you can put your squad name down below, or make sure you can reach out to me. I'm on the GameDay Squad Discord, or leave a comment. I'll make sure that I can get back to you and get you your rewards. Very well done. I don't think anyone got it wrong, Bales. Everyone was all over that.
Yeah, love people want packs. Look
Absolutely.
at this.
Look at this game. Now, this is what we're talking about, Bales. We have gone bananas in this one. It's going to be the Melbourne Demons taking on North Melbourne, and there are a lot of similarities in this. Webster shouldn't be in there for you. I don't know why I accidentally left that in.
Yeah, no, I think
Apologies,
Webster's in there. No, Kate Hoare is meant to be there instead of Webster.
Just envision Kate Hall being there, but Bales, we have the same players.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, we've both got a gold Ash Riddell, both got a silver Garner. I've got silver Carney, you've got the bronze, both got silver Hoare, and then both got a bronze O'Loughlin. So, yeah, it's obviously just.
I know a lot of the top guns there, but talk to me about O'Loughlin. This is a player that pre-season maybe not a lot of people had O'Loughlin on their radars. Why are both of us going round 3? It's time to put in O'Loughlin into our squads.
Yeah, well, she was suspended for the last week's game for, I think, dangerous tackle on Shannon Campbell in week 1, but she scored very well. And I can't remember, I don't know if you've got her, what she scored in round 1 there, Tom. Because
97 fantasy points.
Yeah, not 97, just off the top 5 in this game here. So it was a great game. That was against Brisbane as well. I think North are just looking very, very good. I know they drew with Geelong last week, but Alistair Lachlan was heavily involved. And I think she'll be a pretty solid forward. So I was able to get one this week, which is good. Shout out to all the people on the Discord and on the transfer market doing some trades and swapping bronzes for bronzes and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that she's a good option this week.
Bales, I missed this one before, mate. Do you want to tell everyone, how do you know roughly when the lineups? How can you check?
Normally just go to the AFL live app, and they normally just come up at some point. It's been weird because last year they sometimes came up quite early before they even tweet out, like they just put it on the app. So, normally we get the men's teams at 6:20 Eastern Standard Time. So I'm just assuming it's around that time, but it could be at 6 p.m. I don't exactly know what time they get dropped. So I'm keeping it on my phone now, but. Henry, just keep an eye on your phone and keep refreshing, and it will probably be up within the next 20 or 30 minutes, I'd imagine.
Yeah, normally it is around 6:30, but of course this season it's going to be wild. We're going to have some games that are on earlier in the week, so we're going to find out. I think it's going to be a little bit all over the place at times, but hopefully we can try to keep you as informed as possible and help you make winning squad decisions.
Just on that, before we move on to the 8th game, do you want to let the people know what's happening with the scoring in terms of next week? Obviously, we know the official platform. You get both games. The Bolter platform, they're not counting Tuesday and Wednesday games. It's just from Thursday onwards. So what is GameDay Squad doing in regards to double game weeks for the next month, starting next week?
Yeah, it's a great shout, mate. Well, for anyone that is new around here, so GameDay Squad and what we're going to be doing is we thought the fairest way to do this, rather than having some players score 2, some players only score 1. I just don't think, we didn't think that was a true representation of, players you should be starting in your squad. So what we're going to do is we're going to allocate the highest score of players who play in 2 games. So let's say they have 2 games in a round, they score 90 points, they score 20 points. You're going to be allocated the 90-point score that they scored in one of those games, and that'll contribute to your overall score at the end of the round. So it's not an average. It's just going to be the highest. So out of those 2 performances that they have, whichever one is best, that's going to contribute to your overall score and will show up, I guess, on the leaderboard at the end of your round. So,
yeah. And they get locked out as well in the first game as well. So just be wary of that one.
Absolutely. Bales all over it, mate. The next game, we got the Essendon Bombers versus the Saints.
We go from both of us having at least 5 or 6 players.
Look at this.
So then I don't
filling the screen to nothing. What happened? Didn't like anyone on this one, Bales.
Well, obviously, Maddie Prasparkas was someone to consider, but just with the midfielders, she just doesn't have as good of a matchup to put her in there. like Maddie Gay's a bit of a shout in defence if you want to go someone a bit unique. She's had a pretty good start to the year. And then obviously Jessie Wardlaw, who you've got, is a solid option in the forward line. So just no one from this game I thought had the upside to put in my lineup. But talk to us about why you've got Jessie Wardlaw on your side.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Well, look, in round one, she was phenomenal. I think she played fantastic. 104 game day squad fantasy points. In round two, not as much, 64, but I think the signs there of a player that you should be starting are there for me. She's getting some ruck contests, so when it is going inside the forward 50, they're leaving the ruck out, letting her go in. She only had one hit out last game, but she was in 4 different ruck contests. In the game prior, it was 9 and 4 hit outs. So there is a little point buffer. I know it's very it can be smaller sometimes than others, but she's getting up the ground a little bit as well. She had 14 kicks in round one, only 7 kicks last round, 3 handballs, and her mark count currently is at 5.5 per game. So I just think she's doing a little bit of everything. She's also averaging 1.5 goals per game as a forward. We know she has that goal kicking ability. So I think as a forward, I'm going to trust in someone like Wardlaw. I'm really liking this matchup. And of course, the matchup matrix are also saying that as well. So I'm all in for this one. And I think Wardlaw's been a pretty solid option for me. I've had her in for my squad and she won't be leaving. That's for sure. Mate, but no one else to talk about in this game, as you mentioned. A couple of people that are close or thereabouts. But let's get into the last one. This is the Giants versus the Suns.
Yep, snap for us too. Got the exact same players, same rarities as well.
That's it, mate. Look at the GWS Giants matchup matrices, by the way. That looks scary.
I think when you look at it, people go, oh, Giants are a tough team to score. And they're not like a top 2 or 3, but I don't think they're as hard as what that says. That's purely because Bulldogs round one hardly scored any points at all. I think Ellie Blackburn was the top scoring player in night. Would have been just a tick over 100 points in GameDay Squad in round one. But everyone else struggled in that game. I know Liam for a free kick made the point of Dogs in that game took 19 marks and 10 of them were intercepts. They took 9 marks the team combined that weren't intercepts for the game. And then they played Richmond last week and Richmond didn't score too many fantasy points either, which, again, if Gold Coast struggle this week, like if a Rowbottom and a Daisy Darcy both struggle this week and whatever, then it could be a bit of a trend. But I still think Giants are still a good matchup.
Well, I guess one of the concerns is Darcy. One of the big things she's been doing this year, she's been taking the kick-ins and she plays on absolutely every time so far. There hasn't been a time. In a matchup like this, Bales, where we're thinking, there might not be as many kick-ins for Darcy. Are you concerned with that, or are you not worried because she's been doing plenty of other great things around the ground?
Yeah, I'm not too worried. She's been playing a little bit of midfield time as well, getting up the ground. Katie Lynch being there has allowed her to have a role where she can push high up the ground. The thing is, I think she can go even bigger. Like, she only had the 2 marks last week, had 25 disposals. I don't know if you've got the score that she had last week, Tom, in terms of
102 fantasy points, mate.
Yeah, so that could have been in excess of 110, 115 if she took a few marks, or just the lack of marks. So is that just that Daisy Dash just going to get a lot of the ball and not many marks? And but I just think in defence, though, she's still one of those top 5 or 6 based on this role. And I think she's probably going to be in our lineups more often than not.
For sure. Well, if anyone is concerned about the kick-in data, how about let me give it to you and maybe put your mind at ease. In the first round, she had 71 fantasy points. She only had 1 kick-in attempt, and she played on the 1 time. But the big key factor that I want to talk about with that game is that she only had 53% time on ground.
Injured,
so we're talking about a game where she got injured. She only had the 1 kick-in, and we still saw her eclipse 71 fantasy points. And honestly, if that's your floor, that's a pretty bloody good floor in terms of fantasy. And that should give you all the confidence in the world and more to be starting Darcy in your best 7 defenders moving forward.
Yeah,
but Charlie Rowbottom.
And she kicks the ball as well, which is obviously what you want in GameDay Squad.
Kicks the ball a lot. That's right. She has a very healthy kick-to-handball ratio. But Bales, last game, Charlie Rowbottom, you spoke about a quad double last week. This is our candidate right here. So talk to us about why we're starting Charlie Rowbottom. And you can see just the average there, 156.5, 20 ahead of Parker, who's considered one of the better midfielders in the entire competition.
Yeah. And that was part of the reason why I said as well about Amy McDonald, because Rowbottom played Carlton last week and obviously scored very well. So Amy McDonald could be in for a big game. But yeah, Charlie Rowbottom's just a beast. Obviously incredible. 190 points on the weekend. First ever quad double. or triple double if you just want to count disposals, marks, tackles. But no one's ever had 10 marks, 10 tackles in the AFLW before. So Charlie Rowbottom's done that, and yeah, I think she is in that conversation of not. I still think Marinoff is the number one scorer, but I think that Rowbottom is closing that gap for like a Garner. I think Garner's still 2. I think if I was to say there, and I think she's with Ash Riddell though. I think Riddell and Rowbottom are there, but I'd probably almost have Rowbottom ahead of Riddell now, just because of the fact Rowbottom can fill all the stat lines. She's untaggable in my eyes just because she's so big and strong and just can brush tackles off. And I just think that she's a lineup. She's a squad lock. I keep saying lineup, but it is game day squad. So she's a squad lock for the season. So yeah, I think Rowbottom's got to be in your side. And again, she's a player that if you've got a silver, a gold, or even a platinum, and you've got some spare salary, Rowbottom is a player that you can put some more salary onto, I reckon.
Well, talk to me about this, Bales. Maybe she's not the number 1 ranked midfielder, but could you say this in your dynasty rankings for Game Day Squad? Could she be the number 1 player that you want at 21 years old?
That's a good question. I actually still probably have. I've probably got Marinoff at number 1.
Only 26. Is
yeah,
that right?
Yeah.
26.
So that I've still got Marinoff there because Marinoff is just incredible, and we have seen a lot of the AFLW players can still be playing really, really strong football into their mid-30s. So there could be still another decade of Marinoff.
Is the perfect example of that. She's having a career season right now.
Chelsea Randall's 33 as well. I think turns 34 this year. Like we just see some of the top players are still getting it done into their mid-30s, which is probably a bit like unlike the men's. It's probably your mid to later 20s. And once you hit the 30, we make the comment of they've gone past 30 now. What's going to happen? Dane Zorko this year was probably the one that didn't quite listen to that. And
the exception.
He went big. But yeah, I think Marinoff's probably number 1 just because she is so good. But Rowbottom is players under the age of 22 or 22. I think she's the number 1 there. So
nice. All right, Bales. Well, that's your team in its entirety. We can have a look there. Got a lot of that salary cap in the midfield with the silvers, the golds, and of course that all-star looking so great there. Finished weekly 17 and seasonal. You're 17th as well. So you're right bang on your average.
Yeah, interesting. Bang on the average. But pretty happy with the team. As I said, the only real decision I'm still making is do I put Anne Hatchard in over Ali Anderson or do I keep it like that? I think the midfield, though, set. It's been the same 5 midfielders I've had every week. It's been the bench spot has been Conti, Anderson. I think it's been Conti the first 2 weeks, but just the tag, I think this week I'm a bit nervous with. So Ali Anderson's there, but Hatchard is definitely someone I'm weighing up. Do I put?
Well, hey, I do have a spare bronze Hatchard. If you got a spare Randall, we can do some business.
Hopefully, I can pack one at some point, and then we can maybe do that switch.
All righty. Well, here's my squad. I've got the golds on Gardner, Riddell, Thomas. I'm still waiting on Gardner, just as you mentioned, and I know you with the All-Star are the exact same, just to have one of those games where I can have that point of difference there. But definitely the one player I guess that I would want to be moving out is for Randall. I really, really want Randall. And I would be moving out Runnels for her for sure. That would definitely be the trade that I'd do.
So I'm just looking. The only differences that we've got is I've got Maddie Newman over Lucy McAvoy. You've got Hatchard over Ali Anderson. And then you've got Tarrant. You've got Tarrant, Wardlaw, and Runnels, whereas I've got Randall, Hodder, and Gemma Houghton. So they're the only differences.
Exactly, Houghton. Exactly right. Alrighty, mate. Well, it is All-Star pack time. Bales, we always do a little pack opening to see, and we can, test our luck because you just never know. Who went first last week? I know we like to switch it up.
So
is it your time? I think it's your time to go first.
I think it is because I reckon I went first round 1. You went first last week, so I reckon it is me.
Oh, you know what? You did go second last week, and you pulled such a good pack, and it was right after my absolute stinker from memory. Yeah. And you redeemed us. You redeemed us. That was for sure. But here we go, Bales. You're going to start it off this one.
Oh, come on, man.
Not the animation we're looking for, but it doesn't mean there can't be an all-star in here. So let's start it off. Silver. Maybe zoom in, make it a little bit bigger. Silver again. Silver. Getting a little unlucky. Another silver.
No golds.
Silver. Is this the all silver pack? It is.
I had an all silver pack. I remember when I was on the phone to you when the all star pack. So nothing. But anyway,
Alrighty. Let's get it going then. We'll flip over some players.
Gab Pound Silver's okay.
Gab
Move back
Pound.
into the fenced.
Goodness. Please, we need a knock here.
What on earth was that?
Bales.
That's
I
not
had the bad.
okay, so that's your pack. So this is my. I remember I went first last week. So that was your pack.
Oh gosh, Bales. I think there's a first pack curse now. I think on this, we don't want the first pack. I've at least started with the gold. No big animation as well.
3 golds.
Gosh, that pack was not it, was it, Bales?
3 gold. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hopefully we can get something here. Gary Newton's not too bad.
Yeah, we'll take that. Malloy.
Unfortunate. Hopefully she'll be back next year.
Here we go. What if I get a knock here? I can add it in. O'Driscoll?
O'Driscoll's a good gold.
Give me a knock or a Ghana, hey?
Oh,
what is that? I get so excited, and unfortunately, for no good reason.
That was definitely not the packs that we wanted. Dallas Hancock, very, very, very well said. That was ordinary.
Ordinary would be the perfect way to describe that. Yeah, unfortunate, Bales. But alrighty, mate. That's going to wrap us up. Now, moving, I know you spoke about some of the double rounds and stuff we're going to have. Well, we're going to continue to have this show on the Thursday. So there might be some games played between then. So what we'll do a cheeky review of the games that have been played, have a look at some of the fantasy performers, and then we're going to preview into the games that are going to be later on in that round, and then have a look at some of the matchups that we are going to be targeting. So next Thursday, we will see you all here again for the Aussie Rules Game Day Squad show. Or for the women's Aussie Rules, Game Day Squad show. Bales, any final comments that you want to leave everyone on?
No, just enjoy another good weekend of fantasy football and AFLW, and then obviously we've got the 2 men's finals. So I'm looking forward to that, because the men's previous weekend was fantastic. Great 4 games of footy, and then we're looking forward to another 2 games and seeing who can get through the prelims. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, how good are the Swans? Just by the way, Heaney.
Mark of the year. Unfortunately, not going to get mark of the year. But that we all know that. We all know that's mark of the year. But it's just not going to be celebrated like that. But what a mark. What a game. What a game. Probably best individual performance I've seen this year from a player.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, everyone. Good luck in your fantasy competitions this weekend.